What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Evan, and you know Mo's up to no good. So today we got the Jeep SRT8 behind me. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna actually be replacing the rear shocks because I believe both shocks are bad or one shock is bad. But I'm gonna go ahead and replace them both anyways. The quality in the ride is not there anymore. The shocks are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So we're gonna go ahead and be replacing them with some better quality shocks. So without further ado, let's get to work. Alright, you guys, so we got the box here from Rock Auto. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what shocks I got for the SRT8. And we got some KYB gas shock absorbers. These are the which ones are these? These are the gas adjust monotube shocks from KYB. So there are the better quality KYB shocks that you can find from Rock Auto. They do sell the KYB Excel shocks, and then they sell the KYB gas adjust shocks from Rock Auto. So this is the better quality or the better version of KYB that they offer for our Jeep SRT8. So this is the shock right here. Let's go ahead and open it up. Show you guys. Here they go. This is the KYB gas adjust shock. So silver, actually not bad in color. Looks to be in good shape, good quality. Got a nice thick, bushing in between here. So looks pretty good. I've actually used KYB before on my Jaguar. So actually my old Jaguar, which was the Jaguar XJ8. So I've run a similar shock to the one that I have here for the Jaguar, which was specifically made for the Jaguar. So I have some experience with KYB. They're actually a really good shock, and they actually ride pretty firm and pretty nicely. It gives you a nice smooth ride quality. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna change them out for these KYBs. Alright, you guys, so real quick, I just want to make a note because I know some of you guys who are watching and our current SRT8 owners may start giving me a tough time for why I went with KYB. The reason why I didn't go with Bilstein, because I know Bilstein for a fact is a shock specifically made for the SRT8, and the reason why I didn't go with the Bilstein or order two Bilstein rear shocks for the SRT8 is because if you look online, I don't know if you guys are aware of the prices, but for one shock or one Bilstein shock, it goes for around $250. So if you look around, you may find it for about $230, $240, $250. So it depends on what website you find it, but I feel like that's kind of expensive for just one shock. So you're gonna end up paying almost 500 bucks, give or take, for buying two shocks from this SRT8 or these SRT8s. Which comes from Mopar. So that's kind of a lot, and the thought or the logic behind it was from right now I just wanted to replace them with a less expensive shock, but one that is actually pretty good or pretty decent in quality, such as KYB, and this one is the gas adjust. So it's a lot better version than the XL one, so I wanted to do that. For now, this will be, in my opinion, just a temporary shock until I basically buy brand new Bilstein shocks for the rear and for the front. So that was the reason why I'm doing the KYB gas adjust shocks for the rear. The two rear ones I believe are blown, or one of them is blown, but if the other is okay, I'm still going to replace both of them. I usually do stuff in pairs, so if something were to go bad and it requires one side to be replaced, I will go ahead and replace the other side. So we're going to go ahead and replace both of them. No big deal. Whether they're blown or not, it's no big deal. We're going to replace them anyways. And that is the logic behind why I went ahead and I bought the KYB. Now I understand, Bilstein is specifically made for the SRT, but later down the line, I'm probably going to order brand new front Bilstein shocks, and then two rear shocks for the SRT from Bilstein. So the whole truck will get Bilstein shocks eventually in the near future. Um, from what I understand, and a lot of members do this on Facebook, I've seen it on the forums and on various other social media platforms. Many of you will run the original Bilstein front shocks and then also change the rear and put a different shock, for example, like KYB, Gabriel, what's the other, Strange, like the Strange double adjustable shock or the Strange single adjustable shock. So a lot of people will try to retain or keep the front shocks being the Bilstein, which are the original ones, and then they'll end up changing the rear out because the rear is pretty much easy to change. It just requires a bolt on top to be removed and then the bottom one to be removed as well. So that's what I've seen. A lot of people will do that, so they'll maintain the original shocks on the front and then they'll end up changing just the rear. It's a lot easier because the shock and the spring are separate, so they're not together. The front has the spring together with the shock, and then the rear has the shock separate and the spring separate. So that is the reason why I'm going with KYB, and this is just a temporary fix, but I wanted to put a good quality, in my opinion, temporary shock, so it does last me quite some time, because I'm not sure as to when I will replace it. But who knows, I might actually like these better than the Bilstein ones, and then I might end up ordering the front ones as being KYB as well. So who knows, we'll see how everything is. Once I put some mileage on it, I'll be able to tell, or maybe these ones actually go bad sooner than later, so we'll see. So just wanted to point that out for you guys to be aware. Also, you guys, so I just wanted to point out that if I do end up changing the shocks in the front and then changing the rear, I will or will not, it also depends on how I feel about it, but I will lower the truck. I do have IBOC lowering springs for it, so if I do end up going with a brand new set of original Bilstein shocks for the SRT, I may or may not lower the truck on some IBOC lowering springs that I do have. So I do want to mention that if I do go that route in the near future, you guys will see that in a separate video. Just wanted to point it out, so I'm not going to just replace the shocks and retain the factory ride height or the factory ride look. I may lower it down, or I may keep it the same. It just depends. Where I live, the roads are kind of okay, kind of not okay. It depends where you drive. Some of the roads have horrible imperfections in the street. You have big potholes and whatnot, so I don't want to like scrape anything and remove the front bumper or whatnot. So we'll see how everything goes. Just wanted to point that out as well for everybody who's watching in regards to this whole shock scenario. So yeah, you guys, I may change them or I may not. So there's a little update as well. Alright, you guys, enough of me talking. Let's get to work. What's going on, you guys? So as you guys can tell, we have the brand new KYB shock sitting here on top of the boxes, and then we also have the blown Bilstein shock that I removed from underneath the rear section of the Jeep SRT8. So this one came off of the right rear wheel. So this one here has no gas in it. Obviously, look, you guys can tell it. I mean, it goes up if you pull it, but it should normally come up by itself. So this here has leak gas, so the gas has evaporated, or what the hell goes on when the shocks blow. But this shock is no good. Obviously, it's stuck in one position, so that could explain why I was experiencing some weird noise going over certain imperfections in the road. And I think that's what was causing this clunky noise. I think this was no good. And then we removed this one off of the left side, which is actually the good working shock. And then you press down on it, it comes right back up. So this one works fine, but because I'm doing the replacement of one shock, I figured I'd replace both of them in pairs, because I don't like just leaving one working old shock and then a brand new shock. I don't like doing that. So we're going to replace them in pairs, because that's how you're supposed to do things. So usually in pairs if you can. So we're replacing both of them with KYB gas adjust shocks. So hopefully these are a lot better and perform a lot better, which I expect, and I hope they will, because they look like they are from a good quality. They look like they have a good quality material surrounding them, and they look kind of high quality. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna install the KYBs inside, and then also gotta clean the wheels. I mean, not the wheels, I gotta clean the bolts using the wire wheel, put some anti-seize and some grease on them, make sure that the bolts don't get rusted, and they could come out again if we need to service the shocks again. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna clean the bolts and then go from there.
Got the best of me.
Alright, you guys, as you guys can tell, the shock is in, put the bolts through. This side actually went in pretty easily. I cleaned the bolts, put some anti-seize on them, grease around the shaft area that slides into the shock and then goes across and then bolts in on that side. That bolt doesn't move, but you know what I mean, it bolts in that way. So everything is in. The shock went in on perfectly on this side, no issues whatsoever. But however, on this side, that's where they had a little bit of a issue. That shock actually came down and out of the location there in the lower control arm portion, or whatever you want to call the bracket. So it came out of the bracket and it sat right on top of the wheel right there. So I had to jack it up and also remove the wheel, get a jack stand underneath, and you know, lift it up and then pry it in position using a long pry bar, and then push the bolt through, and then put the wheel back on, lowered it down, and I was able to tighten the bolt on the ground. So this way the suspension is not loaded, so it's unloaded. Yeah, so it had to be loaded. Wait, unloaded, loaded, whatever, you get the point. So I had to bring it down to tighten the bolts and make sure that I do not bind up the bushing. So that's the reason why you bring the wheel down, so you can not torque it down or tighten it down, whatever you want to do. You can torque it down, then torque it down, but I use the impact, so nice and tight. So put it down on the ground, and then I was able to use the impact to drive it in and tighten it down. So that's pretty much it. The shocks are in on that side and on this side as well. All right, you guys, so here's a better look. So the shock is in on the left side, and then the shock is in on the right side. So like I said, everything went in smooth. This side gave me a little issue, but everything is put together. Shock is in, tighten the bolt up top, and then everything is pretty much ready to go. Tomorrow I'll be able to drive it and see how it rides. So that's pretty much it, guys. Alright, you guys, so here's the top bolt on the left rear side. The shock is in, obviously. You know, use the impact nice and tight. It's not going to go anywhere. As you guys can tell, it looks really good. So new shock is in. I'll show you the other side as well. Here you go, guys. So this one is in as well, nice and tight from the impact. Use the impact gun to tighten this bolt down, and then this is pretty much in. It's nice and snug in its location, so I'm pretty happy with how it came out. Alright, you guys, so real quick, here is the part number if you guys are interested in purchasing the same KYB shocks like I have. So it's 554377. You can find them on Rock Auto, and that's where I bought them from. So there you go, guys. What's going on, you guys? So we just ended up finishing. I know it's later at night or later in the evening. The sun has gone down, but I pretty much finished. Everything went in smoothly. We got the old shock out. Hold on, let me grab the shock real quick. Here you go, guys. So the shock is no longer good. Shrunk itself. Leaked gas, or whatever the hell they did, is no good. So this is gonna go in the trash. So pretty much the KYBs are in. Hopefully they ride smooth. It's got a nice firm ride. I don't feel anything going over certain imperfections in the road, and everything pretty much went well. Tightened everything down, put some anti-seize on the bolts and put them in, and that's it. So pretty much an easy install. If everything works out well, I may replace the fronts with the same shocks, or I may order 4 Bilstein shocks in the near future. We'll see how everything goes, but that's pretty much it, you guys. We finished this install and we're pretty much ready to go. Alright, you guys, so that's pretty much a wrap. The new shocks are in, so you know the vibes, guys. I'm out.